Give me just 1 second.
Oh, there it is. All right. Okay. I got the notice. Are we there?
Oh,
Me too.
all right, we should be good.
All right. I'm Michelle Rehill. I'm chairperson of the Library Trustees, and I call this meeting to order at 7:03 p.m. I will begin with the Governor's Advisory. This open meeting of the Library Board of Trustees is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed into law on July 16, 2022. All members of the Library Board of Trustees are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The act allows the Library Board of Trustees to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. Now, I have to do a roll call. So members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Mitch Cohen.
Hello, affirmative.
Thank you. Mary Crowley.
Present.
Thank you. Pat Fonts. Oh, are you mute? I didn't hear.
Excuse me, present.
Okay, thank you. All right, Jim Hogan.
Jim Hogan here.
Jocelyn McKelney.
Jocelyn McKelney here.
Beth Samus.
Here.
Richard Tucker.
Richard Tucker here.
All right, and I'm Michelle Rehill, am here, obviously, and we also have with us tonight the Library Director, Jen Bruno. For my official opening remarks, I would like to welcome Patricia Fontes to the Board of Trustees. We are so happy to have you. Do you want to say a word or two about yourself before we get into the part of the meeting, or just
Very briefly, I wanted to thank everybody for the appointment to the trustees. And for those of you who don't know my background, like Michelle, I was a librarian for quite a number of years in schools. And I was on the Board of Trustees in Westboro as well. But I am tickled to death to be a trustee here in Northborough. Thank you.
All right.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome. Glad to have you.
Welcome aboard.
It's a good crew. You're going to like it, Pat. All right. Now that we've gotten through all of the preliminaries, the next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the September 13th meeting. Oops. It would help if I had the right piece of paper. Are there any questions or comments about the minutes from the September 13th meeting? Seeing none, would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the September 13th Library Trustee?
So moved.
Second.
All right, so Jocelyn and Mitch, thank you so much. All right, again, this will take a roll call vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes of the September 13th meeting? Mitch Cohen.
Mitch Cohen, aye.
Mary Crowley.
Mary Crowley, aye.
Pat Fontes, you have to abstain.
Aye.
All right, Jim Hogan.
Jim Hogan, aye.
All right, Jocelyn McKelney.
Jocelyn McKelney, aye.
Beth Samus.
Beth Samus, aye.
Richard Tucker.
Richard Tucker, aye.
And I also approve. Motion carries in the affirmative, with one abstention actually on Pat's part, right? Because she wasn't officially on the board for the September meeting. All right. Next item. appropriations report. Does anybody have any questions about anything on the appropriations report at this time?
I have one question. I apologize if I asked this last month. Are we concerned about running out of the substitute salaries line?
No, and it's funny, I was gonna ask Michelle if I could make a comment, and it was about the substitute salary line. It does look like we've expended most of it. We are also, I mean, that, let me back up here. We've been short a full-time person since the summer. So we have been using our substitutes a lot more heavily than we normally do. But that we will also be under in our assistant salaries line because of that staff shortage. And it will also, we're always a little bit under as well with any part-time vacations or sicknesses or other absences. So it looks like it's 92% expended, but there's actually other funds that will cover that. So we're good. We just won't give back the same amount of money. Remember, we were really under last year with the salaries. We won't be under like that again this year.
Okay.
Thank you.
And not just to make sure we're clear, on the salary lines, even though they're broken up into different line items, they're looked at as a whole. So it's the total amount that's budgeted rather than line by line.
Correct.
Okay. All righty. Any other questions about the appropriations report? If not, we got to go to the library director's report. I know there are a couple of things that that are in your report that we're going to take up under new business. So other than the dates that we will be closed next year, and the library open house, are there any questions or comments about anything that Jen had in her report this month?
I have one. Jen, on this, this document that shows the post-COVID trends.
Mhm.
And your percentages are plus and minus, and I assume that means plus or minus over the preceding year. And, is that right?
Sorry.
Is that
Yeah.
correct?
So yeah, compared to fiscal year 2019.
Okay. And I'm looking at DVD. It doesn't have a plus or minus. What is 40% there?
My apologies. That should actually be minus.
All right. Are there any questions about any other items in the director's report? Yes, Mitch.
I just more of a comment that it is. I think those changes are fantastic. The 2019, I like the chart, and it does make perfect sense to compare 2019 pre-pandemic to now, which is sort of kind of post-pandemic, at least in general operations. I was not surprised that ebooks went up, although up 109% is pretty extraordinary. I would have guessed books to be down, but books are also up. And I think that's wonderful. That's wonderful for like our core functionality and everything else. Doesn't surprise me that DVDs are down and magazines are down and things like that. More and more people are getting those other ways. At some point, once we've had more years of streaming video services that we offer, it'll be great to look at some of that data and see how that has changed over time. And the only thing that I think makes me sad is the lack of programs and attendance that we have. Obviously, we're still growing that back up again. So I would guess that in another year that'll look even better. So I really appreciate the data here. I really do.
No problem. And I thought it was interesting that the decrease in programming was really disproportionate to the decrease in attendance. It's only down 15%
Yeah.
attendance wise, but we're doing way fewer programs.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
That's interesting.
yeah.
So people are coming to anything we offer, even if we don't offer as much. And that, I
Right.
mean, or whatever it is, might help facilitate us figuring out future programs or other things to do.
Yep.
That's pretty good. Door count. How do we count? Is that literally opens of the door, or do we have something else?
We have a little people counter that is installed on the door. So it counts ins and outs. So we divide the number by 2 every day. And the circulation department records it, and then we total it up.
Okay. Does it count literally just the door opening and closing, or is there something that would, like, if 3 people walked through at the same time, would that count as a 1 or a 3 or something?
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit off because I think what it is a beam.
Okay.
So if 3 people walk through at the same time, it may not catch all 3.
Right.
But I think it kind of maybe makes up for it because some people walk in and out multiple times. So it's close.
I'm going to stop.
It's probably
That was going to be my comment, Michelle. I'm just going to start carouseling through the door, just in and out, in and out, in and out.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say it does make sense to as a good feature for comparison year to year. But if Jocelyn goes in and out 50 times in a day, that might change the math.
Go for it, Jocelyn.
All right, maybe I won't do that.
Just do it on different days.
Okay.
And if I could, on another part of the report, under the staffing report, I'm very sad that a couple of great people are leaving, although their reasons for leaving are fantastic in both cases. So so folks at home know that, if you don't see familiar faces in the library after the next little bit of time, they're off doing wonderful things in both cases.
Yes, hard to overstate the hole that they will leave in our team.
Yes.
Though we are so excited to have Rachel on board in the children's room. She's been with us for 6 years in the circulation department, so we're really excited to have her as a full-time member of the team. And we do look, it's hard to say we look forward to finding a new team member. Replacing Deb is terrifying, to be honest with you. She's such a huge part of the team. And it's pretty sad to think about. But we do look forward to welcoming a new person and bringing in new ideas.
Unfortunately, you have some staff members who have been around for a while, so that as hard as it is to have Deb leave, when she walks out the door and takes some of the institutional memory with her, but there are people who've been around for a while who can make sure that it's not incredibly painful when she leaves us, in terms of running the business. I mean, we'll miss her because I don't know who's going to be able to handle answering my questions when I walk in.
Mine, for that matter.
So, Mary, we're probably the reason she's retiring.
I'm sure she is, after me utilizing her during the pandemic and lockdown. She was amazing to me, so.
All right. Well, it will be well deserved. And I'm glad that Carly will be coming in as a sub. Hopefully, she just has such good energy.
Yes.
It will be good to see her once in a while.
Yeah, she's great, and she's so funny. So we definitely already miss her. But she comes and visits every once in a while, and she brings a baby. So
Oh, sweet.
Doesn't get any better than that. I saw that tiny baby.
Mm-hmm.
I was very excited. All right, if there aren't any more questions or comments about the director's report, we can move on to the items for discussion, which are under new business. The first one is the dates of closure for 2023. The agenda says 2022. Sorry, typo.
Typo.
So in the director's report, it has the list of the days when the library will actually will be closed due to holidays. And I assume that you all got to look at that.
Yes,
Okay.
Jen,
ma'am.
are there any changes other than the, what day of the week some of these things are on?
Juneteenth is added. That was negotiated into the union contract, so we can now officially include that in. Otherwise, it is the same general holidays.
Thank you.
All right.
Juneteenth now a state or a federal holiday?
Both.
Both, okay.
Yes.
Saw that in it.
All right.
Do you need a motion?
Yes, indeed, I do. I was just about to ask if anybody would like to do such a thing.
I move that we accept the closure dates for 2023.
Seconded.
Was that Beth?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so I will do the roll call. All those in favor of accepting the vote in favor of accepting the list of closure dates for the library for 2023, say aye. Mitch Cohen,
Mitch Cohen, aye.
Mary Crowley,
Mary Crowley, aye.
Pat Fontes,
Aye.
Jim Hogan,
Jim Hogan, aye.
Jocelyn McElhenney,
Jocelyn McElhenney, aye.
Beth Samus,
Beth Samus, I.
Richard Tucker.
Tucker, aye.
I also vote in favor. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Now we come to the hard one. 3 tiny little lines at the end of the library director's report. Mitch had brought up a comment, well, the backstory, Jen joined the library mid-pandemic. So there was no way to have any sort of welcome to Jen when she started the job in Northborough. And we've been waiting for the right moment. And Mitch brought up the idea that, well, it is now the 3rd anniversary. It will be Jen's third anniversary.
Second, yeah, this December.
Second anniversary.
The pandemic don't make the pandemic any longer.
Oh, it was the pandemic's been on for 3 years. Sorry. Second anniversary. Now is the time to welcome Jen. And so we had the idea of doing an open house. And we did think that, we could maybe roll in some other things. We'll have some new staff members. So it might be a good opportunity to actually welcome the staff members when they are hired, around when they start working there, instead of waiting 2 years. So, but we have to decide when to do it and how to do it. So we have to sort of pick a date, kind of pick a format. I think that it should be, personally, kind of informal, like an open house, come when you would like. And I think that it should be on like a day or an evening when the library is normally open, rather than doing it on at a separate time. That way there are staff members who will be at work anyway, so that they will be able to participate in it. We will have the traffic coming in who would normally be coming in to use the library, and we can have just some kind of refreshments. But beyond saying that, I have not come down on, like, oh, we must do this, we must do this, we must do this. And you were in the report, Jen, you said December or January. Is there on the staff side of the house, is there a particular time that people would prefer? Do you know?
I don't know. Just anticipating that turnover with Deb's position. We may not have somebody in early December, so, and then you run up into the holidays. So I was thinking after the first of the year might make more sense. Plus, a lot of people are flat out in December
Mm,
with holiday preparations. Usually that time between Thanksgiving and Christmas is a really light library usage time, which is nice. We finally get a breather from, summer, and then we go right into back to school and everything is really busy. So, but in terms of an open house, if you want people to be able to come, I worry that it would get sort of buried in mid-December. But then of course you always run into the weather. So I don't know if you can win no matter what you do.
Well, that's
Well-
a great idea. If you move it into January, you could also have built in a snow date. So that
Right.
you wouldn't have that problem.
Agree.
if we did it in January, could it be welcome in the new year and the new library staff?
I like it.
See a theme building.
Uh-huh. So that gives us something to think about. Does anyone want to say, oh, I think this is when we should do it? Or are there a couple of people who might want to sit down and say, hey, we'll help plan this thing? Anyone? Well-
I can help plan if you would
Yeah,
like,
I can.
Michelle. Yeah.
All righty.
Sure.
So we can get, have a couple people get together and either talk amongst yourselves or I'm making a note before I forget and have to go to the tape to see who said what. Do we want to, as a group, toss out some potential dates, or maybe just sit down together with a calendar and then figure out which ones would really work? Nobody wants to make a commitment, do they?
I was going to suggest the night of your regular meeting and just doing the open house like a little bit before it. And then maybe we could have an in-person trustees meeting.
Excellent.
Would have to be there anyway. That would get us all in
And
the
I know
door.
there would be 8 of you here.
Food.
That's right. It would be an in-person trustees meeting though.
Ooh,
Done that in a little while.
what a concept. So we're throwing out, that would be January 10th. So January 10th as a possible date. All righty.
I like the idea of having a snow date sort of predetermined, maybe the following Tuesday evening, the 17th.
Excellent.
Oh, monkey wrench into things being a newbie. January 10th, I don't have my calendar in front of me. Is that also a Tuesday?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that I would think that you'd get better attendance having, separating the trustees meeting out of it, being on like a Saturday. That way you get a lot more people coming in and you might have, better attendance instead of a Tuesday night.
From a staffing perspective, it's hard to get everybody there on a Saturday because then they have to take another day off during the week. Not to say that we can't make it happen. It just
I'm not
gets a
familiar
little-
with, with how the staffing goes, but it just struck me that maybe, midweek evening might not be the time, you may not get the biggest group in. But
What's the door count average on a Tuesday, Jen?
Oh, thank you. I was just going to ask that.
I can get that answer for you.
No, to Pat's point, that might be an interesting piece of data to use to think about when to have,
Mhm.
when to have this. I don't know about the other trustees, but my work days are pretty flexible, and I could certainly look at, coming in at a time that might be not necessarily avoiding Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, if that's when we have the highest attendance, and it would be the most impactful welcoming celebration for you and the new folks. Again, I don't know everyone else's flexibility, so
I
Feel
would
free to
say-
shoot me down.
I would say generally 3 to 5 is our busiest foot traffic time.
Okay.
But I would need to re-examine the data to back that up because that's my general feeling, but I would want to verify.
Well, clearly you've had 3 years here, so you should be able to tell.
To
Sorry,
just know.
aged you a year. I didn't mean to.
Okay.
And if the committee that puts this together decides that cake or other munchies would be involved, then I think that'll be a draw to get some more people in the building.
Absolutely. I
Oh,
was going
yeah.
to say that.
Yes, they're
Just
definitely.
put up
must be
flyers
seen.
that say free cake.
Then we could do it at midnight and people will come.
Can we have cupcakes? So nobody has to be responsible for cutting a cake.
Yes,
Good idea.
absolutely. Cupcake tree.
Yeah,
Ooh,
since the
Okay.
pandemic is not completely over.
Single serve items tend to be
Yeah.
Yeah.
safer, more popular. I agree.
So anyway, and again, I just hate being responsible for cake cutting, and I just am I'm never satisfied. If I have to do it, I don't like the way it goes. If somebody else is doing it, I don't seem to like the way it goes. So no cake cutting. Cupcakes it is.
Gosh, you realize I'm now going to bring 3 tiers of different sized cupcakes just to mess with you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate the warning.
Let the minutes reflect that Jocelyn has been for cupcakes.
Jocelyn, oh yeah, Jocelyn is bringing cupcakes. All right, so can we put that into the hands of the party planning subcommittee? Have we given enough input?
Is that just Beth and myself?
I think so. And Pat, you
I'll
want to?
volunteer. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay. But that does that make an official subcommittee that would have to post?
Social occasions are exempt from the open meeting law as long as they are strictly for social purposes. So planning a social meeting, I think, would be okay.
Okay. All right. Good. I was hoping somebody would say that. I
And
can't
I'll
imagine.
check the meeting calendar and just make sure that that snow date is available.
Okay. All right. We don't need a vote on this, right? This is just we're going to do this. Cool. Does anybody else have any other input? Want to say anything about the party? Are we free to send you input? I guess we can email, send email to people and say, oh, I just thought about this. What about that?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Do we have a budget for the party?
Oh yeah, we have to think about a budget for the party.
How much is left in that appropriation?
See, there's a line item that looks like it's no.
Take it out of the HVAC.
Oh God.
Why not?
Mhm.
All right. I can make some offline inquiries to see if we have a budget for this.
Mhm.
And we may be able to get some support somewhere. And then I will report back to the official party planning committee. All righty. I'm making notes so I don't forget stuff. Thank you. All right. Any other comments, questions? Missing anything else? If not, I think we're at the end of the agenda. So the date of the next meeting is Tuesday, December 13th at 7 p.m. And again, unless there is any other business that may come before the board, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you, Richard. Do I have a second? to adjourn?
Second.
Oh,
All right, Jim got that one? Thank you.
No one wants to leave.
I was just gonna say.
We all
don't
just have to
sit here
stare
all
at each
night.
other.
Sounds good. Oh, we'll sit around and do like, pretend we're the Brady Bunch. Okay, motion to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor, Mitch Cohen,
Mitch Cohen, aye.
Mary Crowley,
Mary Crowley, aye.
Pat Fontes,
Fox, aye.
Jim Hogan,
Jim Hogan, aye.
Jocelyn McKelney,
Jocelyn McKelney, aye.
Beth Samus,
Beth Samus, aye.
Richard Tucker.
Richard Tucker, aye.
Michelle Rehal also agrees. The motion carries in the affirmative unanimously. The meeting is adjourned at 7:34 p.m. Thank you all for being here. Oh, and good night, Kate.